Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast to the protection against heavy rain and flooding by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
So the big challenge is, how can house owners like you and me get a flood-free home? How can business managers like you and me get a flood-free company? And how can public servants provide flood-free critical infrastructure and livable cities?
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe. This podcast is for foresighted and proactive people who do not want to shovel the muddy water out of their room while standing in the midst of the disaster.
Therefore, those who design and plan, the architects and engineers, need to construct such buildings and cities, and that even when the entire environment is completely flooded. That is a challenge, and this podcast will give the answers.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
Yes, the question always is, how should I protect my building from heavy rain? Yeah, welcome for another episode of Flood Protection Secrets. Next time I will report about what happened in the past, and there's a lot of development. But today we want to talk first about this question. And why do I mention it again? How should I protect my building from heavy rain? I just was invited, or I am invited to speak about mitigating flooding in the era of climate change strategies for a resilient future. And that is in so far interesting. And thank you first of all for the invitation for this webinar. And while I'm recording it, it is just before the webinar. And the question is to teach younger engineers, architects, people with responsibility how to handle the reality of climate change. And to make this world a little bit a better place. And climate change is putting the world at a risk, ? Normally I must ask, does climate change put the world at risk? ? And I changed it into climate change is putting the world at a risk! ! And that's how I start the presentation. And yes, before I mention how should I protect my building from heavy rain, I should understand where these heavy rain events are coming from. And my first answer is, there's a very simple rule. The more water, or let me say it this way, you just have to follow the rain. So that means before the rain enters into your building, you must think, okay, where's the rain coming from? From the clouds, from the sky, okay, from the weather. But the children are always asking, Mama, Papa, why does it rain? And how is the water up in the sky? Because there's a sun. It should not rain there. Good question. So of course the water that falls into your garden in the streets and is raining comes from the oceans. And how does it come? Through evaporation. And the average temperature of the oceans has increased by 1.9 degrees. 1.9 degrees. And that is in so far important because this increased thermal energy is now not only responsible for more water, that will evaporate more water, so we have more evaporation, but this energy is also transformed into the evaporation process. I've said it already. And what I want to express is that there is definitely more rain. The volume of water in the sky, in the clouds, is higher. So more water is in the clouds. And where do the clouds normally move to? They move to the next continent, to the next shoreline, and then they make landfall. And that is normally where we have this bad weather, because the people live. We don't live on a boat, so we live on soil in countries, on continents in Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, and did I forget one? I don't think so. America, yes, America. And then once the clouds make landfall, it starts to rain. Normally, it also depends, of course, on how many mountains you have and at which side of the mountains you live. But that is not the question at this moment. So all this rain is transferred from the ocean to the clouds, and from the clouds to your garden, to your parking place, to your basement, to your living room, to your garage. However, I always hear, but Andreas, how it comes, because it was always raining, and sometimes we had more rain, sometimes we had less rain. That is true. However, we have several problems at this moment, and the worst, and that is really changing in a way. That is a new element, is that sometimes this bad weather is not moving away anymore. That means the bad weather is staying where it is, and then we have the feeling, or you realize it is raining for about one week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or for a longer time. But at the same time, people tell me, hey, Dr. Klippe, but it is not true. We had a drought. It was not raining for 3 months. Yes, that is also true. And we also observed that in Europe. Last year it was very hot. This year, in 2024, until now, in Germany at least, we observe a lot of rainfall. So it's not really hot. It's not. We haven't seen the 35 degrees and 40 degrees and these things compared to another year. So how does it come? Of course, that is always the local weather that is important. But there is another phenomena, and that is related to the jet streams. The jet streams are, that is the wind ring. That is the band of that creates the wind around the planet. And we have at the end four jet streams in a higher atmosphere. So that is a jet stream, the polar jet stream, the subtropical jet stream in the northern hemisphere, and at the southern hemisphere, it's the same. So, and that is why we always have these winds in between the continents and the high pressure and low pressure weather situations. And these jet streams are changing. They are slowing down, and that is one of the reasons why these bad weather systems, once they are around your area where you live, are not moving away, and the result is long-lasting rainfall or long-lasting heat, what normally always is followed by long-lasting rainfall. So that is one situation and one reason. And now the question is, of course, how can you prepare yourself? Because then comes another point, and especially that is true for these mega cities, especially in Asia, with millions and millions of inhabitants. For instance, these 18 million people in Metro Manila. However, Chongqing, I think they have 34 or something, and even Tokyo, they have, how many do they have in Tokyo? 28 or something? It's huge. It's really huge. No, I don't think they don't have 28 in Japan, but it's around 20 something, plus minus. And the people are not the problem. The problem are the buildings that are constructed and the sealed surface, that there's no grassland anymore. So what we really need to do is a renaturation of our landscape, what is not possible in a big city. And then people sometimes say, oh, the government, they will install a drainage system, a public sewer. And I always answer, let them do. But, we recently were asked from one municipality in the Middle East. So our city, that was not one of the big cities, a smaller city. We are not thinking to protect the buildings right now. I think we can protect the whole city. Then I said, how many billions of dollars do you have? That is something where you easily spend more than $10 billion for a small city. Yeah, and even then you have to ask yourself, where do you pump the water to? So that is not a good solution. On a long scale, yes, it is. On a long term, it is. But don't discuss these topics this way. I always say it's completely wrong what you do, because you distract the people. You change the topic instead of focusing on protect your building, your home, your factory, your 5-star hotel, the critical infrastructure like hospitals, like power stations, pumping stations, all these transport areas like airports and the metro system, if there is any, and so on and so forth. And of course, electricity plants, the transformer stations, and these things, schools, universities, police stations, firefighting stations, and so on and so on and so forth. That must be protected first, because due to the increased temperature of the oceans, and that is a fact, 1.9 degrees Celsius is a fact. And this increased atomic energy is responsible for more evaporation. More evaporation is responsible for more clouds. More clouds bring more rain, because at the end, more rain within a longer time. That means even with a good canal system, with a good public sewer, this system will not be enough to keep the rainwater away from the streets, because the rain is not stopping. If the rain would stop after 1 hour, 3 hours, you are fine. You can relax. But that is not the case. And I explained that with the slowing, the slower jet streams. So what you can do is you can only take action now. And I always say, okay, what do you want to do? You live in misery and you hope that nothing will happen anymore. That is what I hear again and again and again. I also hear that in Germany. Oh, we have seen this 100 years rainfall. So that's good enough for the next 99 years. Nothing will happen. I tell you frankly, that is big bullshit. And I also say that in public. I use these words because if not, the people don't understand. It is bullshit because you are based on, you rely on statistical data from the last 30, 40, 50, 100 years. It's good for nothing. The world was completely different. You also don't explain political situations based on what happened in the 15th century. I mean, or in the 9th century, or you compare the countries and you relate to the Roman Empire. So nobody would do that. So, but for weather we do it. So that's wrong. The only solution what you can have, and that is a title, How Should I Protect My Building from Heavy Rain? That should, how should you do that? You should do that fast and on your own. Don't rely on anybody. Don't rely on any government, on any public servant who might help you perhaps in 20 or 30 years. But in the meantime, the rainfall will become stronger and stronger. That means whatever the governments are doing now will not be enough tomorrow. I'm convinced about that. And the only thing what can help you is protect your own building. That can be done with these, you certainly know it already, with modern flood barrier systems. So we always distinguish between the 4 groups. So the portable systems, the stackable systems, for instance, or these in-aero mobile flood barriers that you can put everywhere in the landscape to redirect the water, very, very short installation time, or flood doors and flood gates, so swinging systems, for instance. You can have automatic systems, so flipping up systems like this Anham automatic flip-up flood barrier. That is also a German product that works, by the way, without electricity, without pneumatics, hydraulics. And it has been installed, I think, more than 3,000 times worldwide already. So it's incredibly easy to protect basement parkings, especially in the middle of the night, where 365 days a year, and perhaps it is the last day of the year, or it is during Ramadan for the Muslim countries, or during Christmas time, or whenever. So the weather doesn't care about your religion, and it doesn't care about whether you celebrate something or not. So, and group number 4 are permanent glass barriers. So portable barriers, these are the demountable and the mobile flood barriers. Then flood doors, flood gates is group number 2. Group number 3, automatic systems. Drop-down barriers, I forgot, flip-up, sliding barriers, pivoting systems, so all these kind of things. And group number 4, permanent glass flood barriers. They are very often installed in front of at touristic spots, and in front of 5-star hotels, for instance, to allow the people who take the breakfast to have an unhampered view of the ocean, as an example. So these things can be done, and you can do that for your business, for a factory, a warehouse, every hospital, every airport hangar, every generator room, subway stations, basement parkings, but also your private garage for your own car, and of course your private house, starting with the main entrance door, the terrace door, back entrances, also these light shafts for basements that we have very often in Germany, or you protect the whole lot from the street side. All these things are possible, and that is my recommendation. How should I protect my building from heavy rain? Do that on your own. Don't rely on anybody, and do it immediately, and use modern flood barriers. And one last golden nugget for you today. People sometimes say, oh, my insurance will cover it. Ask yourself the question first, are you really sure about that? Second question is, when will they cover the damages, and what will you do in the meantime? Perhaps it takes 9 months or longer. There are still damages not paid in different continents, especially also in the Ahr Valley in Germany from July 2021. So think about it. And what will you do in the meantime? I mean, your business is damaged, is not damaged. Most probably you can close your hotel, you can close your factory, you can declare bankruptcy, most probably. Or you shut down everything, and then you come back with tons of money that you need to relaunch your business. And where do you live when you are a homeowner? You must go to a hotel or to friends, and that's also not easy. And then you need to buy everything again, to rebuild your home and include flood barriers at the same time. And then certainly you don't have money for flood protection anymore. That means for the next rainfall, you are unprotected. So that is not a good idea. Don't wait for an insurance. Yes, you should have an insurance to be prepared for the inevitable, and especially for fire and things like that, and burglary. But don't rely on it when it comes to flood protection. So, how should I protect my building from heavy rain? That was my golden nugget. You do it first on your own. You don't rely on the government. You protect your building with modern flood barriers. And I mentioned the 4 groups: portable flood barriers, flood doors, flood gates. Number 3, automatic flood barriers, and group number 4, permanent glass barriers. Then you are protected very well. However, there's one more secret. That is the question, or the answer to the question, what is a reasonable protection height for flood barriers? And this question will be answered in the next episode. So if you have liked this one, then stay tuned, and just click on the button, and that you don't miss the next episode. And would be great to see you soon. So as always, stay safe and flood free. I wish and hope for you that you make the right decisions when it comes to your personal flood protection. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to this podcast channel if you haven't already. Now it only remains for me to wish you a good day. Do something with it. Maybe until the next podcast episode. I would be very happy. See you then. As always, stay safe and flood free. Your Andreas Klippe and the whole Flood Experts team.
That's it again with the new episode of Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe, German engineer, book author, and head of the Flood Experts. What can Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe protect for you? Anytime? Worldwide? Contact us or just click through to www.floodexperts.de/bonus. Detailed engineering, German quality, safe, flood protection secrets, the secrets you'll want to unfold.
Don't forget, you're only one flood barrier away.
Subscribe to the season, and you'll never be late for an episode.